This video will provide an overview of Step 7 on the road to accreditation at Proficient. And Step 7 really is the part where you are ready to submit your work. At this point in time, you should have collected some quality pieces of evidence. You should have written some evidence item cover sheets. You should have explicitly annotated your evidence in line with those cover sheets. And you also should have sat down with your supervisor at a number of points in time, and your supervisor should have written a report based on the evidence that you've presented. Now, the supervisor report should do a number of things. It should make specific reference to the evidence that you've submitted, and it should also include reference to the broad range of things that you've done over your time throughout the accreditation process. So the supervisor report not only makes reference to the annotated evidence, but it also talks about a number of other things that you've done as a teacher in line with the various other standard descriptors that are evident within the standards. But the supervisor report should also use the language of the standard descriptors, not word for word, but it should be written in the same vein as those descriptors so that the reader can see that the evidence and the reflection has been made with specific reference to those standard descriptors. Once this is all done, you should be asking your supervisor to proofread your work. You should then send your work to the teacher in charge of accreditation for proofreading. You should make suggested changes and resubmit. At this point in time, you should expect some changes to be made. Don't feel as though your work is not up to the standard if you are asked to make a few changes. It's pretty common for a new scheme teacher to have to make some changes to their annotated evidence or their evidence cover sheets. It's very important at this point that you ensure that every single page has been signed and dated. This is a very important clerical matter that needs to be addressed before your work is sent away. You should also ensure that your annotated evidence and the supervisor reports are saved as separate files. They need to be submitted or sent away as separate files. If you are conditionally classified, this means that if you were employed as a teacher without having completed your teaching degree, then you will need to include your academic transcript also as a separate file. Once this is done, you can then drop your files into the relevant Google folder that's been allocated to you, and you can notify the teacher in charge of accreditation once all the recommended changes are made and that you're happy with your work. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and hopefully you've been able to learn a little bit about accreditation at Proficient. Thank you.